needs that. This makes our road safer, it solves drainage issues, and we get the state money, which we would like to fix our road, and we get a road we want to live on, but that also fits the criteria that they put out. 'Cause the plan right now, our road, it's a template solution for some other road, but it doesn't actually match ours. So that was just my summarizing. I wanted to jump in there.
Mom.
Yeah, me again. Yeah, I write speeches, I don't give them. First thing I was just... The DG was actually unaware there were historically road. They were unaware there were farms or agricultural land. They actually had no idea when the was started. Second point, the alternative 5, actually has an exemption for widths. Normally a road like this would be 11 foot for the driving lane and 5 for the bicycle lane. They actually got an exemption, got it signed, that said they could make the road narrower because of it, even further down. They thought that they were willing to spend $12 million, but they would actually kick it back up to about 18, 19 million if they made the road those extra 2 feet. So they go that prohibitively expensive. That's why it's narrow. It was maybe not an exemption they should have given, but that's what we're dealing with. This is more for the selectmen, this next sentence. There's a saying, actually it's my grandfather's saying, he worked on the railroad in Tennessee. He said, "Them that don't ask, don't get." If we ask for alternative 5, they're not going to cut us off like a grandfather who just lost their patience. Very good. 4, excuse me. 4. Yes. If we ask for alternative 4, they're not going to cut us off. They're going to say yes, no, or maybe. And if they say flat no, we haven't lost anything by asking. Okay? If we go with alternative 5, point blank, there is a downside of the community as a whole. Right now, they're not counting the dollars. Eventually, they will. They'll look at the distribution of funds, and they actually have a map specifically for this purpose. It's part of their province materials that say, this community has spent this much money. And they look at it and say, oh, they took half the yearly budget for the entire quarter of the state in 1 year in one project. Let's not give them anything else. It will happen. Because politicians are fair, and believe me, that's where the funding comes from, is political clout. That's why this thing got pushed through. It's because the politician is more than happy to demonstrate that he's bringing home the bacon. Well, he's going to bring it home for another city. We really need to at least ask for alternative 4. We lose nothing by doing so.
Then we should probably wrap up. I'm running late for everybody.
State and federal money, we act like it's free, that we're not going to be included in the paying part of that. We are, so is everyone else in the state. And then, with all the money we're going to have to put for easements, tearing down buildings, moving wells, leach fields, privacy fences, and other unknown fees to this town, lawyer fees, because they're going to be there. You better think about what our taxes are going to go up to, because they're not staying where they are. We are going to be paying for this too, not just the state or federal. So,
Okay.
you may not think it is, but it is.
Okay, and then last speaker.
I would just like to say also, in terms of the dangerous road, you say it is a dangerous road, but it's implied, but the statistics point out that the deer, I mean, perhaps we should put all the deer in the zoo and get heaters, but the snow and the ice are big factors. Also, in terms of corners and making it difficult to pass around bicyclists, that's generally in other areas, but on Mountain Street it's quite straight. There are certain corners, but for the most part, in front of our house, for instance, it is along a straightaway. And yeah, that's all.
That's why they go fast.
Yes, exactly, that's why they go fast.
Okay, I think we have,
I don't need to talk, but I do, if
the snapshot of speed data was off of these boards that we put up over the last 5 days. I printed it out for the Board of Selectmen to review, but if folks were interested, I could share the information that was pulled off of those.
Please do it.
I request that you set the thank you sign, it's at 45 right now. They're speeding, thank you.
You feel good.
The sign on North Market Road flashes speeding at 1 mile an hour over the limit. I wish it did that.
We're working on it. I am probably
I think
the
it's
least tech-savvy person there is, so getting these to program.
Yeah,
And Dan and his guys have been great. We're trying with their Bluetooth, their,
Yeah.
They don't have
a whole bunch of stuff.
They don't have a 40-mile-an-hour button. 35 and a 45, and we're trying to get the.
So it's a learning process. We're excited to have them. We're grateful we got grant money to get some.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna make it work. So this again was only from July 7th through this morning. It's just a snapshot. And when I read off how many speeds were recorded, that is not how many cars were recorded. So if somebody sees the sign and slows down, and we do have a select few who see the sign and speed up, because it's entertaining to see how high they can get it to go. So going south, there was 4,152 readings. Of those readings, 3,190 of them were 40 miles per hour and below. So is there speed on the road? Yes. Is it as bad as we think it is number-wise? No. They are going above the posted speed limit. There was 781 of them that were going between 41 and 45 miles per hour. 147 were going between 46 and 50. Now you know if that 46 to 50, they could have slowed down, so they might be in those other two categories as well. Going more than 55 miles per hour, there was 4. And this could be captured, again, it could be the same vehicle, because if it changes a number on the speed board, by going up a mile an hour, down a mile an hour, it could be recorded twice. Northbound, we captured just over 4,200 speeds recorded on it. There were 0 higher than 55 miles per hour. All of them except for 14 were 50 and below. So yes, they could be going over the 40 miles per hour, but they're not doing, as many of them are not doing 50, 60 miles an hour as it seems. And I know I'm the same way. I have small children in the town I live in. I walk on a rural road. They appear much faster than they're going. That's why when we're trained with radar, we look, the size of the vehicles, the larger the vehicle, the faster it looks like it's going. Colors of vehicles can make them seem faster. Rain can, the mirage on the pavement on hot days can change the appearance of how fast we're going. We get it. I just wanted to have full transparency and say we've got these units out here to read the data, and I'll give it to the Board of Selectmen, and we'll continue to capture the data off of them in various locations now that we're learning how to actually do that.
Thank you, Denise. I have one quick question. Does it capture bikes? Because when I was going bike, I got to speed.
Yes, it will.
So how do you distinguish between bike, or does that go to the average? I was just wondering.
Not that some
On that particular day, I was camped. Anyways, I didn't know if that impacted the bike traffic.
There is a way to program it too where it will not read if it's below a certain mile per hour, but some bicyclists are going to ride fast enough that it could register as well. So it will pick up a bicyclist that's traveling at a high enough speed to be captured on it.
Did you have your?
Denise, can I ask a question? What's your sense of how the putting up the radar, the testing thing influences the driving at that time? Because, my sense, and again, I think it's fascinating, but my sense in talking to people on North Farms after the permanent ones were put in, was that at first people paid attention and then they got bored. And that really what happened was that the same people who speed keep on speeding, the people who don't speed, but that the influence of the flashing sign is a kind of finite experience. Is that something that you agree with or see differently?
So my opinion is the speed sign and displaying the speed and the flashing speed is a good reminder to all of us to check our speed to slow down. But I learned something new today reading these manuals on these speed boards, and that is I can make the screen be blank, but still actually capture the speeds.
I like that.
So we can get an accurate reading where people are not gonna see that sign flashing and slow down. So we're gonna actually, it will capture the moment it gets the vehicle. So we've already gotten, if they're speeding, it's gonna be in the data. But we can keep the screen blanked out, but still have it accurately picking up the vehicles, which I think is
Yes.
something we're gonna do too. Just to see if there's a big difference in numbers as well. Because are people slowing down because they see these signs? Because I'll keep applying for grant funding to get one for every road in town if it's really working. But if it's, if they're gonna slow down on their own without seeing it, and I do find too that these people that become complacent are people who are traveling the roads all the times. My experience is more often than not, they live on that road or they live on one of the connecting roads to that road. We see it all the time. I may stop somebody for speeding and they'll tell me that, oh, I've been complaining about speed on my road. And we kind of have a little banter and say, well, yes, and now you're speeding on somebody else's road.
Yeah.
But because we get comfortable where we are. There's studies out there that these crashes happen within so many miles of our home. Why? Because we're more comfortable. The roads we drive on every single day, we become comfortable on. We know where the curves are. We know that deer is going to cross from that field to that field. We know it's morning and this person's going to be walking their dog. So people that travel it more frequently, we rarely get people that are just random passengers going at high rates of speed on Mountain Street. It's usually people who commute this roadway a few times a week.
Does it capture the time, like, certain person?
Yes, so we
I
can
notice
Yep.
major speeding
Yes.
every day at a certain time.
Yep.
And weekends.
Yep,
And there's nothing we can do.
And we can, so what's great about these is it will create a graph for us that shows this window of time, we see this range of speed. So instead of us trying to just guess and sit out there and then people are like, oh, they're there, and they flash their headlights and then, okay, so we're good for an hour and then we have to come back. This can really show us, and then we can try to be a little more creative. Maybe get the unmarked cruiser out there with a handheld radar, or an officer standing on the side of the road, to really drive home, not that we want to trick people, but we all know, you see the police car sitting there, you're going to slow down. Someone's going to flash the headlights at you, you're going to slow down. Or, oh, I've seen Williamsburg out here every single day this week between 8 and 9 in the morning, so that's where they might be. So if we really want to drive it home, sometimes it's a hard lesson learned that you have to become a little creative to actually catch the real offenders, the ones that, the couple that are going 55, 65 miles an hour down this road. Now we know what time they're coming through, now we can be creative and try to capture them.
I would love for you to put it in front of my house at 67 Mountain Street with no blinking light, and you tell me if they're going 40. Please.
Did you have something that you had?
Yeah, I just want to say, I live on, my property's on 36 Kingsley, it's also on 27 High Street, so I'm on those streets, and Kingsley is an incredibly dangerous street. I've been there almost 10 years now. It has gotten, I totally identify with the mailbox analogy. You basically have to run across the street, and the corner coming down from Mountain Street, I can't even envision the speed increase with the straightening project, what it will do for Kingsley Avenue, which has become incredibly, you can't barely walk your dog on that street. It is a cut through. Everybody's using it to commute with, cut through trucks, all kinds of trucks on that little tiny street that's supposed to be 25 miles an hour. I don't know what it's so dangerous. And that corner, if you come down and anyone has, you wonder sometimes if people are going to make that corner. I feel bad for my neighbor in the corner there. With his house, he's in an incredibly exposed position there. Something I'd love to be involved in working on some kind of calming project, but straightening that is not a traffic calming project. I'm also a cyclist, and I just want to say that I love cycling the country roads here. I've cycled the lanes that are beside the fast moving, and they are scary as hell. I'd much rather be on Mountain Street the way it is even as a cyclist, and let people, most people wait and they pass calmly, and, cycle at, on a good day at fairly good speed. So I I've not seen traffic really get backed up on that road because there are places to pass cyclists and some things the gravel would be good and all of that, but I don't find the lanes with the faster traffic make it a lot safer as a cyclist. I find they're scarier, more dangerous. I think that with that proposal, so I throw my support and find some alternative. I'd be part of, be happy to be part of a working group for an alternative for. I just want to put my 2 cents in.
I have a question. Does the crash data that's currently in existence justify the expenditure of $13 million? I guess what I'm wondering is, does crash data right now as it stands shore up the position that our roads are unsafe for elderly and children and what? Or is it something that alternative for, if it is in some way dangerous, is it something that alternative for would take care of without the huge expenditure of being able to look into the feds? My understanding is the initial design included High Street, and it still actually does include High Street in the initial needs report, which was, that hasn't been updated yet, but, and they compared 5-year sets of data. They included the High Street crashes initially, cut them down. We had, the woman actually whose letter was read has done extensive research on it, but she's looked at a lot of comparative collector roads, and they're claimed that it's twice the rate of collector roads. It's something we've even been asking, we put in a request to DOT and haven't been able to get it. They just used their general current data. And then when G. Whitland provided the data for a 15-year stretch, I think it was 13 accidents, no injury, no bike accidents, deer, weather, I believe, are the primary. So it's somewhat of a data question, but either way, yeah, it strengthens the call for, again, what they believe will calm the safety, which is this automatic widening and the bike lanes. But there's a lot of data that really contradicts that. So
If I could just add to the data that I provided for Williamsburg crashes, on that section of roadway, that was just what the Williamsburg police responded to. I don't have access to state police reports, so if a Williamsburg officer was, say, committed on another call or not available in state police call, Mass DOT would be able to get that crash data.
okay, so we asked them for the data so we can wait and see what that.
So there could be more that was covered by them, just again to be transparent, that these are just the ones that Williamsburg took, where the damage to the vehicle was mandatory report required. So if somebody did have a minor fender bender on the road and there was minimal to no damage to their vehicle, it would not require a crash report. So those actual statistics could be